This is Between Hook Sets. I'm Chasen Walter from In Through the Outdoors with my partner in slime, Curt Underhill from the Fishing Crew.
What is up, buddy?
Oh, I don't know. I hope I don't have a sneeze fit because I had one before we started. And then all of a sudden we started. And I almost didn't have things ready because we're just talking about digital stuff and how it changes, how things are different. And then I look down and go, wait a minute, where's the show open? Where's all that stuff at? And I guess whatever, it got closed up, something like that. And I guess it is what it is. And I just got a notification that you and I are live.
We are live.
Yeah. Our guest tonight.
You.
Yeah. Look at that. Hey, it's you as me and me as you.
Yeah.
All right. So honestly, we have had a ton of great guests because you and I had talked months ago that we were going to just every once in a while do our own thing, see where it went, blah, blah, blah. Because sometimes it's hard to get good guests and get people lined up and all that fun stuff. So, all of a sudden we've got another great guest and another great guest and another great guest. And then things are starting to slow down a little bit here, right?
Yeah, we're getting into that time. And, tomorrow night we're going to draw for Gov Cup teams. I decided to not make that a weekly episode. We're getting so many people that follow us that probably don't fish the Gov Cup, that probably don't care about me rambling off 200 numbers. So
yeah, it could bore somebody a little bit. I mean, for those of us who are into the Gov Cup and all, right? I mean, it's a cool thing, but yeah, we've expanded, we've grown beyond that, and that's okay.
Yeah, so we're going to get the teams drawn out for that. And before we get too much rambling, I want to say that the Lieutenant Governor's Cup is live to sign up.
Okay.
So if you guys want to get your kids signed up, ages 5 to 16 for Lieutenant Governor's Cup, that is all available on thefishingcrew.com. And I do have a rare opening for a couple people in the Gov Cup. Had some teams drop out. Have an issue trying to figure out who my waiting list is. So go ahead and get on thefishcrew.com, sign up. And there's a couple spots, which is, we always have guys that drop out, one thing or another, but we had a couple extra this year that have dropped out. So we do have some openings and get into those. So if you guys are listening and want a spot in the Gov Cup in 2 weeks, man,
I know 2 weeks. And the crazy thing is it's rare to be able to get it.
Yeah. Filled in 6 days. And then, life happens, right?
Yeah. Right.
Number of things have happened to guys this summer and life and, little nervous. I don't know how many guys we got from the Highmore area, but the big storm that went through Highmore, just a number of things, so get signed up. If you want a spot, they're on the website, go for it. Fishcrew.com. Get your kids signed up for Lieutenant Governor's Cup. And it's been
So the destruction, the storm that went through Highmore, I started watching that storm when I got to work at 4:45 that morning. It had started between Kadoka and Murdo, making its way through Pier. I'm like, ooh, Pier's getting pounded with rain for sure. But I wasn't quite sure whether you guys had the wind or anything yet. And then as the morning progressed, got the report that had 112 mile an hour wind gust at Joe Creek Recreation Area. And I'm like, oh, well, that thing probably blew itself out. It's probably done now. Thank goodness it's over a rural area, but then it's at the recreation area. And then the 131 came. And then another, and then 114, another 112. And it was disturbing, really, because you don't know. I'm sitting up in Mobridge, I'm far enough away. And frankly, I covered it on the radio because it was historic. I knew instantly that it was historic with multiple 112 mile an hour wind gusts. But then when we had 2 reports of 131, like, yeah, okay, this is historic. We got to keep our eye on this. And it glanced off of Potter County and Bowdle had 55-mile-an-hour non-thunderstorm wind gusts, etc. Yeah, my heart, it just, you don't get to live those things all that often. Like September 11th, I was on the radio when that happened.
Yeah.
And you're living it in the moment, and you start thinking about people, and we didn't hear anything about anybody being injured or anything of that nature. And it took a while to find out that, luckily, and thank God, there were no deaths associated with it.
Yeah.
And then minor injuries.
Have you seen the photos of the carnage from over there?
I know, it was phenomenal. And then I did not see the picture of the Catholic Church. I should have put that up and popped it up, but I think enough people have had that passed around, where the roof was separated and you had the daylight coming in right on the cross. And for those that believe and have faith, for those, you can poo-poo it if you want, but wow.
Yeah.
And really, I think Highmore probably needed that. Don't you feel like there was some peace there?
It was, think about it, if you like, when I looked at all the other pictures and just the sheer devastation of, all the buildings, all the grain bins, the elevator collapse, the wind tower snapped in half.
Right.
Everything like that. And then that picture pops up and it's just separated enough of the roof to put the via light across the crucifix. It's powerful. And perfect, right? Absolutely picture perfect. I don't know how you could never plan that. There's just no way you could do that. And it's divine. It's just, the hair stood up on my neck when I saw it, because I just, there's a greater power there. And I'm sure people were, well, how can we have this beautiful thing when all of this carnage and all of this destruction happened? And I guess it's a sign of love and the fact that God's here, and put your trust and faith in him, and things will be okay. So anyway, I know there's a lot of people that get turned off by that kind of conversation, but once you've had devastation happen to you, like we had in Sinai, and you've got everybody, including Bill Janklow, rushing to Sinai in, I think, 13 minutes from Pier. I think it was 14 minutes. Like how he got here that quick, but they got here quick. And they brought the inmates, and they unfortunately, one young fellow lost his life. He came into contact with a highline wire, but they cleaned up the town, and it gave people a sense of there's light at the end of the tunnel. And I saw that in pictures in Highmore. So fantastic. That thing, like, I talked to a guy on Monday night, and he said he called up there because he's got friends and family live there, and they literally said, "Do you need me to come with a trailer?" Because he kind of went through something like that in Wesleyan Springs a few years back. He lost his house to a tornado in Springs, and he knew that, he goes, "I know their pain." And he's like, they just literally said, "There's everybody here. We thank you, but we've got people," and everybody just kind of showed up. So love living in South Dakota for that reason. It's just great. So, but let's get to fish. And we do. Steve Miller wants to say, ask how the walleye have been in South Dakota.
Well, I tell you, they're not as hangry as they were a couple of weeks ago. The bites got tougher.
Yeah, and that's something like we'll talk about tonight is, I think the bite, we haven't had steady weather.
No, none whatsoever.
We have 3-4 days of a southwest wind. We have 5 days of a northwest wind. We have 3 days of a wind spinning in directions. These fish are living in a whirlpool going every direction right now. And one week it's 90, or 1 or 2 days it's 90, and then it's 60, and so it just, let's stable out, and the fishing's going to get better. And, I talked to some guys from Francis Case and that fish that Nebraska tournament down there, and they said them fishers are not healthy.
Yeah. So that's kind of sad. I felt that way about some of the fish in Green Bay too, right? Yeah. It's a little too past post spawn for some of those fish to be skinny like they are in a system like that. And so what are they looking like on Francis Case? Are they pencil thin, or
What'd that guy tell me? And I'm probably going to get this wrong. It was a 21 or 22 or 23 incher that went like a pound and a quarter.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So well, let's hope that there isn't a disease or something.
You're not seeing bait. He goes, we hardly see any bait. And he's like, I had to put my presentation really small with a small jig and a minnow, and they weren't even wanting to bite.
So not seeing any bait and then not biting when they had a chance. I guess we'll have to keep an eye on that, right? And here's another Wednesday night guest. The biologist for Francis Case may have to have them on and have a conversation about that. Uncle Lou, how do you do? Let me bring into let's see, had that in Nebraska too. Oh boy,
I think he's talking about the weather. Oh
yeah, well, okay. So yeah, let's hear and this is another thing I'm going to bring up: barometric pressure. And I know that some guys are going, but here's this is the deal. Don't care what the pressure is, but when you have barometric pressure at 29.46 and you have a bluebird day, something's not right? Because low pressure means stormy weather. It means cloudy days. High pressure means bluebird days. And that whole paradigm seems to have shifted. Pressure's 29.62, 29.71, and we've got a clear sky, blue clear sky with no clouds, right? I mean, none. And so you think about these walleye that are 10, 15, 20 years old. So you can't tell me that they don't feel a difference in pressure to some point, and then the light in the water is brighter. And to me, it just seems like it might throw them off. I don't know, I
honestly, I don't know. I don't know enough about the pressure. I've learned that, high pressure is equal to high sun and bluebird days and no clouds from you. Right.
Right.
So I don't ever follow attention to that, but I will say that, I just think it's the weather's gotta, they gotta stable out. They gotta, whatever. Lake Oahe, for the fish that are being caught here, are absolutely incredible.
Oh heavens.
They're incredible. We weighed 26 incher that went 583 in the home builders tournament last weekend.
Okay.
So they're fat. They're fat fish. And that was a little on the skinnier side, but the 17-inch year class, this last weekend was the second time that I stopped. Like, fish are all in the bump sink. I can't see the tail, and I just grab one thinking, okay, we measure all the fish, the fishing.
Right.
That's right. Every fish gets measured, no matter what length it is, so we can handle everyone and feel them up and do the things we want to do to make sure they're. Yeah, I realized it after it came out of my mouth.
You made me want. Never mind.
But we check. We just make sure we handle all the fish to make sure there's nothing fishy about right, pun intended. But yeah, I grabbed one on the sink. I'm like, oh, there's an over, and it was a 17-inch walleye. Because I couldn't see the tail, I could just see the head and the belly, and they're so fat, and the belly goes so far back on these fish that it looks, a normal walleye, you kind of got the fat head and they kind of loops the tail. Yep. It's just like fat and then tail end. Tail. And they're just incredible looking fish.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think the bite, the weights in the Gov Cup, the slots are going to be, they're going to be incredible. I've heard rumors of, 19 and 3/4 inch fish pushing 4 pounds.
Wow. Yeah, and that's not going to change in the next 2 to 2.5 weeks, right? No. It's just not going to change.
No. And we all know, no matter what the bite, we always have the big fear of they call it the Gov Cup flip. The fishing can be absolutely lights out. You can do whatever you want to do, catch fish any way you want to catch fish. And the Gov Cup comes, and about the Wednesday, Thursday prior, the fish completely relocate themselves. And I think it's 200 boat pressure on top of them.
That and probably the very warm water, right?
Yeah.
It's 71 degrees up here right now. I don't know, what is it down there?
I haven't been out for this week. It'll make 2 weeks since I was out. We were seeing mid 60s last time I was out.
Yeah, okay.
So
I was surprised at 70 to 71 degrees when and we were in the Grand, so we weren't out in the main body, but nonetheless, 70, 71 degrees is still it's warm. And it's getting warmer. Temperatures are certainly going to be nudging 90 here for the next, I don't know how many days. You must have a long one there. It looks like you were reading.
Yeah, but I was reading, and I'll let you read it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Colin, let's see. Northfield tournament last Saturday. Brooke got a 31.5, weighed really 10 pounds, 12 ounces, had a 29 3/4 that weighed 10.5 with 10 to 12 inch herring. He kept in his mouth all day to weigh-ins, spit up a 7 to 8 inch herring in the live well, and still bit a 6-inch plastic. Yeah, I honestly, I think they can be full, but they can be enticed to be pissed off and still bite, right?
Where's Colin? Where's the Northfield tournament out of? I've never heard of that one.
That isn't Minnesota. I don't know that there's.
I don't know where Northville is. I don't know if that's even on Lake Oahe or somewhere else.
No,
I'd like to know.
I don't. I'm not. I'm the only
66 to 67 in the
Spring Creek. Okay. Yeah. So, the thing is, in a couple of weeks, if we keep having West Whitlock. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Say with herring, like, where many places you find herring, Lake Oahe's kind of the only one. So that was my
right. That's true.
But I mean, yeah, so the fish are, but I really think, we talked to, we had Rand Dash on last summer, whenever we had Jim on, and we were talking about fish getting used to baits. And we've been talking about this for a while with the jigging wraps, that they're getting used to the baits. I don't think it's the baits. I think it's the cadence. I think it's a heavy vibration. Fish feel 90%. Most the lateral line, it's all vibration. Before I get going down this road, he said it's ran out of West Whitlock's. Northfield Community puts it on northwest of Redfield, 3 miles west of Millette on Highway 20.
Ah, okay.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Yeah, gotcha. So, but yeah, so if you think about, I think it's the vibration of these things, because next week we'll have to talk to our guests, Jaden and Bo,
because they're going to know.
But think about it. If you watch Jaden on that live, he's sitting there and he's got the jig in front of the fish and he's just tapping the butt of his rod.
Yep.
And I think it's, and that obviously that was Green Bay. That was, Big Bay, Little Bay to knock. But I think this erratic,
the ripping stuff,
high rip cadence is coming to an end. Because when we first started the jig wrap thing, you got within 5 feet of a fish on your graph and it swam and hit it.
Right.
Now you put it on their face and you rip it hard and they swim away.
Mm-hmm.
I saw something on Facebook the other day talking about Tom Wynn. Tom Wynn, he literally in the video, it was target walleye. I think I sent it to you. I think I sent that video to you that Tom makes him go to the bottom.
Yep.
And eat that thing off the bottom.
Yes.
I think that's what Tom does.
Mm-hmm.
Phelps, we're ready to see at the Gov Cup. Bring more apple pie. But I think it's these heavy cadences. I think it's the erratic. I talked to another guy. He said he's caught more fish this year, and I would like to see how he's doing this, but swimming a jig wrap back.
Oh, well, honestly, it makes sense because in all my struggle last fall, I went to blade baits. I went to rattle baits. Ripping wraps, anything that would make noise, right? All that stuff. And it had no effect on anything, but I'm guessing the catfish who just kind of, took note that, oh, there's some noise going on, right? So yeah, I don't know. I can't wait to get over the trees and start fiddling around. And my big thing is going to be cadence, and I'm sure I'll do it wrong.
Yeah.
Days where fish won't eat. Yeah, that's true. Where they'll chase the bait. Some days they want it more like dead sticking, and Tom Wynn makes them eat them off the bottom. Yeah, it's. I think that's the other thing that maybe we're a little bit too much into as well, doing the same thing the whole time and not mixing it up. 3 days of fishing had only one 23-inch baited jig and wrap. The rest were spoofed. Well, so think about this though too, right? We've gone from 7 jig and wraps to 9s to 11s. So I mean, it's this thing's getting bigger, and it's just easier to ignore. I'm guessing. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, like, the finishers, right? Like, people were trying to fish those like jig and wraps, and it didn't work.
Can't. There's a complete different cadence, and Kyle Peterson and Dan Spengler, the guys that know the baits, they've got it down. They know exactly what to do. But here again with the finisher, you're working with the right knot. You're working with the right test line. You can't just, and I tried it. I had 8 pound on. The finisher doesn't work worth a damn with 8 pound on it because it gets caught up in itself. Right. So you've got to have that line that stays straight enough and hard enough for that bait to not swing around and come back on itself. And I mean, it's a thing. It truly is. I mean, if you can't master that thing, well, look at us in the tail race that time we were down there. And once I figured out I could feel that finisher hit the eddy, and once I felt it hit that and break it and drop, I pop, and wham. Anything other than that, no go. But once it got caught in the eddy, it came out, pop, wham. And it was pretty amazing. I wish I had been there longer to perfect that, or at least try to do that, another 5, 10, 12, 20 times, whatever. I only got to do it that one time, but it was eye-opening for me.
Yeah.
So let's see. Last Friday, Spirit Lake, bigger 27-inch plus walleyes. Chase the bait into the weeds, then drop and spook off. The 24s, 25s sitting right on top of the weeds would crush it.
Huh.
So okay, so if the walleye are sitting on top of the weeds, they're engaging. The 27s down in they're neutral. They're just kind of right. I don't know. It's interesting. I love when people comment this stuff.
I would favor your opinion. Like if them ones are up on top, they're hunting.
Yeah.
The other ones are, he might have been the dog on the porch that ran you off.
Right. Yeah. Right.
But he's going to chase the car,
and see, and that's where I think with live scoping, we sit on the wrong fish for too long. We have to realize and recognize that it's time to, and I don't care if you move over to the next tree, or you go from one side of the tree to the next, if there's fish there and you try other fish. I'm just not. And here again, I'm the novice dude, but I still don't buy the fact that you sit on top of a good mark and work that thing for an hour and a half until it bites. Because it's just not going to happen. If you roll a chocolate donut under my nose and I tell you, nah, I'm good, and you keep doing it for an hour and a half, I'm probably just going to get pissed, grab the thing and eat it so you go away, or I might just get up and leave. I don't know. I
mean, how many times we've been out to eat and you get your mini tacos and they're sitting there and we're all done eating and there's 2 or 3 mini tacos left and we sit there and we BS and all of a sudden next thing you know, you're reaching in to get that mini taco or I am. It's just, I mean, that's what it is. But watching that video that made me think with Tom Wynn is he says, which has always been completely backwards what I've ever been taught. Even especially ice fishing, he doesn't ever fish above the fish. He makes them go to the bottom because he feels like they're looking up at you. But I mean, how many times? I mean, what's the number one rule of ice fishing? Get it gumming and make it chase.
Keep going. Yeah, right.
Chase it up, right?
Yep. Like, and get him to engage.
Get him to engage, and he's making him engage the other one. Trapper's got another comment here.
Those big ones were up in 19 feet cruising, but were spooky. Caught 7 walleyes, 24 to 25 inches off the top 4 feet tall weeds. Yeah, okay. So above the weeds, I get it. Yeah, I do. I love it when people. Thank you for commenting these things, because these are things that people need to remember, right? Yeah, because now you understand. Because I fished with people, not a ton of people, but I fished with people who completely ignore the water column from the surface to the top of the trees. You've got walleye cruising 20 feet down. You're 45 over. How do they say that when you're 100 feet of water? You're 45 over 100.
Yep, 45 over 100. Yep.
So you're 45 over 100, right? So your water column to the trees is 45 feet. So you've got fish in walleye in 20 feet of water who are cruising. They're looking for something, and they can completely get ignored because you're chasing after fish sitting on trees, right? And I think we're missing those fish that would engage if you went after them.
No, I don't disagree with you at all on that. I think there's a lot more to it than we put to it. And, like I said, they bite one day, they don't bite the next day. They've got feeding patterns. I mean, if you ate a big, huge brunch, are you gonna, right? Like I said, it's just like that mini taco, right? Like the kid said, he caught the 20, had the the herring in his mouth and it still ate. That's just like us eating that last 2 mini tacos out of the basket, right? Yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it though.
We're gonna do it.
Every time you go to Pizza Ranch, you take too many, one more trip, and then you realize, oh my God, I'm a glutton, right? But there's times when you eat that, and then you're just done. You don't go eat anymore. You want to go home Sunday morning brunch, then you go home and take a nap because you overindulged,
Yeah, but I think people forget the predatory instincts, right? So that fish is full, it's got a fish sticking out of its mouth, and here again, my thought is it's proud because it attacked whatever was pissing him off, and now here comes another one, and now I'm going to attack that too, just a little show of dominance, whatever. But what's
I'm getting text messages.
Okay.
The first one says taste the biscuit, and then I get
oh God. Yeah. Oh, that's freaking hilarious.
Yeah, I get a picture of Andrew eating a biscuit. Yeah.
That is that. Oh, hey, let me do this before I forget. I love getting into questions and stuff, but I saw these guys right before we started the show. I'm like, oh, got to give them some love.
Yeah.
So Chris McFadden and Bren Phipps, third time, and they won the Montana Circuit AOI. So congrats to those guys. They are two sticks that we've been talking about, that we've been seeing in target walleye now for at least 3 years, if not 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They I saw that on a Vexus page that they won it again, and yeah. Montana's got great fishermen, man. So does Wyoming. People it was funny. We were doing something for some marketing stuff, and he's like, well, I didn't target Montana or North Nebraska because what's really out there for water? And I'm like, oh, there's big water out there and great fishermen. So make sure you put that in there because that's a big fishing. Both of them are big fishing states, and Montana's the same way. Like, it's so desolate when you go to Montana. It's been years since I've been to Fort Peck, years upon years. I mean, little kid, and But I mean, you go to Hell's Creek or Hell's Canyon or Hell's Creek, I can't remember. And
Cherry Creek.
Is it Hell's Canyon?
Hell's Canyon, Cherry Creek, Canyon.
Anyways, there's a reason they're called that. Like, because them boat ramps are shitty. Them boat roads getting to the boat ramps are not fun. But yeah,
I'm thinking Canyon Ferry walleye tournament.
Yeah,
Canyon Ferry. Ferry. Yeah.
But no, I mean, there's the fishing up and down has been there's great fishing everywhere. But back to Lake Oahe, I think these fish. I think we're got different fish in our system. Mm-hmm. I think we got fish that are feeding on the herring. The big fish are chasing them herring. We have the smelt fish that are chasing the smelt. But we also lose sight of the gizzard shad fish, because them gizzard shad generally are warm water fish, so they stay shallower.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I know, I want to say the 2013 Gov Cup. The guys who won the Gov Cup, Adam Yost and Dustin Christopherson, maybe it was 2011 Gov Cup. It was in the Hoop Barn at 10 was, Anyways, they won pitching jigs to shore shallow.
Honestly, we should have done that today because I had the Garmin on quite a few marks in that 5 to 10 foot range that we were trolling through. But yeah, you're right. You don't see that happen very often.
Yeah.
And I guess it all depends on the time of the year. And I don't know when gizzard shad spawn and when they're
4 to 5 times a year in the right conditions.
Okay. So we really don't know when it happens, and you see it now on your Garmin.
Yeah.
Yeah, or down imaging. I'm down inside. You can see it as well. It's just fun to watch those bait clouds move.
So that was also talking to the guy from that Fish Francis Case out of Pigstown last weekend. He said he found better fish. He was out, poling or bouncing or rigging or whatever he was doing out deeper, and he's scanned his live scope up shallow and noticed there were fish up there, and the fish that were in shallow water were fatter fish. And he's like, we found them late on Sunday, but they were fatter fish up shallow. So,
which would make sense then, gorging themselves on the gizzard shad, I'm guessing. Because they've got gizzard shad down there, don't they?
It's going to be your main forage. Mark's got a question here. Shad die off on bad winters. Do
they also in a nice winter?
Good question. I know there was a big die off this last winter. Major die off. Now they're not 100% die off, but they die off. But they populate so fast. So 2,500 that the Game Fishing Parks puts in Lake Oahe, they spawn 4 times a year.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't know what the average is for the number of actual that make it out of a gizzard, out of a bait, but if they drop 1,000 eggs on the ground, say 10% make it 100, and boom, 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 boom. That's why they blow up. That's why it's I don't think they die. I want to say we've kind of talked about there hasn't been a big die off other than this winter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't. I just haven't heard of it the last few years, like I have this year.
I mean, it was dead, right? I mean, we had Kerry Conold on. He was talking about if your bait hit the bottom, it was nothing but gizzard shad coming up. You couldn't get a catfish to bite in Mobridge because the bottom was literally littered with dead gizzard shad. Talked to Chad Keel. He was out coyote hunting one day, watching the coyotes stop in the cracks on the ice, eating the dead gizzard shad. They died off hard this winter. And I don't think we had that. We didn't have a huge ice covered. I mean, it never froze south of. I mean, in February, guys put in at West Shore and fished all the way to up to Okoboji. The southern part of the river never froze over. But I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's so many days of ice cover. I don't know what the rhyme or reason to when they die off is. Um, yeah, like Teasling said, you always see them frozen in the ice at North Bend, 100%. They know the spots on Lake Oahe. Hippo Lake has got some wells in it or springs in it that they say in the wintertime you go around it. It's not, do not walk there because the ice is never safe. I mean, I can tell you right where it's at. It's right in front of the Cattlemen's Club. It'll be dead of winter in that. You can tell it's super thin ice there. And that's where the gizzard chat hang out in that warm water.
Makes sense. Right? Warm water.
So there, I mean, and Pitlick said the smelt are back. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear of anybody smelting this spring, but the smelt are back. I mean, that's very true. We've had a steady incline of those over a couple years. So, I mean, it's just the fishing, the lake is very, very healthy. There's bait in it. The fish are fat for Oahe anyways. Right. Francis Case, I mean, it'd be interesting to know what they're saying down on Francis Case. Obviously, I think the survey, their nets last winter didn't show what the fishing showed.
Yeah, right. I remember that conversation. Yes.
Yeah, the nets didn't show what their fishing showed. Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, fishing is what we care about, right? What right. The nets tell us they're fishing there, but
the other thing too, when you say, or you talk about a healthy system, think about all of the big fish that have been caught. 10 pounds, 11 pounds, 12 pounds, 13, 14, a couple of 16s. And obviously you got Keith's 18 pounder, right? They're all healthy.
Yeah.
Remember Brian and Ron, on Francis Case, so think about that one. That gal, she was old and she was on her way out. She wasn't gonna make another spawn, right?
Well, she wasn't even gonna make another couple weeks. I mean, when we talked to the biologist, that's the nice thing is the game fishing parks actually shows up at that one with the biologist. Mm-hmm. They're there to collect the male saugers, but they're there, right? And it's really nice. It's really, really nice to have them there. And that one we're trying to get back, and we have our fresh flowing water system. Anybody's been to our tournaments, we're pumping water nonstop, keeping the fish in fresh water at all times. And that fish came up, it was still alive. It was, it wasn't healthy, but it was it was as healthy as it probably was when it got caught. Let's put it that way. And we took it down there, and I remember it kind of trying to swim in our tanks, and he's got the truck with the oxygen tank there, and we said, can we throw it in there? And he's like, you can, but that fish is dead regardless. He goes, that fish is so old that it's going to die one way or another. Right? I mean, would it made another year if it was never caught? Maybe. But it was how ugly that fish was.
It had that gray color to it, so it had that age, right?
To it, right?
No, right. And then it was thin, so it hadn't been eating. I would have to say that it didn't have the energy to chase bait. Yeah. Maybe it was surviving on bugs, right? And those things. And let's see here. If you live in Iowa, you hate gizzards, shad as bait fish. They take over these shallow lakes. Oh, I suppose.
Well, they say anything south of basically Nebraska, anything south of, Nebraska south or south of Nebraska, it's damn near an invasive species. Kansas, they absolutely, you talk to these guys that come up for the Gov Cup from Kansas. If anybody on here from Kansas, you can probably, echo what I'm going to say is they hate them. The lakes are littered in the things, So, Cody Boyden and Francis Case fish this year are skinny. I want to say Cedar Shore was, they weren't bad at Cedar Shore in April.
No, but
so that's pre-spawn, and we were way pre-spawn because they weren't hardly milking.
Yeah, true. Here's the deal though. I caught numerous walleye off the dock, and they were all very nice.
Yeah.
But here again, I think you've got different walleye in different parts of the lake.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got those walleye that are up in the marina. There's bait up in there, and they're able to feed there probably rather easily. Right. So
we're talking two different, them fish had all winter off, they fed during the winter, they did their things. It was cold water. They weren't burning a lot of energy. All the things are right for a spring tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the heart of the summer, June, July, and they post spawn. And if there's no feed to put your feed bag back on after spawn.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Not a lot of growth there.
Yeah. In every system, I don't care. People can point fingers at whoever you want to point it at. Systems ebb and flow.
No matter what. Right.
No matter what. No matter what. When I got to Mobridge for the Denny Palmer, I was talking to Chemnitz, and he said it was like the 90s out there yesterday. The 90s. Well, the 80s, 90s. When I remember going up to Casca as a kid and there was no slot limit. The 1 year in the Gov Cup, I can't remember, was it 86? I think they weighed 16 walleyes in, because it was no 16 per team.
Oh,
and it was 136 or 126 pounds to win the Gov Cup.
Oh, that was in one of those years where they had the double limit thing.
Yeah. No, it was 16 walleyes. It was 8 per person a day. And they were just, I remember seeing stringers in the 80s and 90s of 5 pound average. It looked like Lake Erie.
Wow.
And then they had the flood of 97, 98 out here. And then the system went to historical low in 2000. The 03, 04, 05, 06 was all really low. I've got some old pictures from back in the day at Spring Creek from them years of the Gov Cup. People talk about being low. It ain't even close to what it was back then. And, and then 08 was historical low. In 2011, we flooded.
Yeah, right. Isn't that something?
And they said 2008 year class, 2009, when the water came back up, was the best hatch of ever in Lake Oahu's history.
I can understand that from seeing what we're seeing now with the lake at 1597 and about 7 inches.
93, 94, 95 was the heyday. 100.
That was before my time out here. I think I started coming out here in 97, so I missed out on the heyday.
Yeah. It was dumb. It was, but Pitt, like, you can answer this. It was, 10 pounders. We weren't seeing 16 plus pound fish.
Yeah, this is right now, it's historical.
Yeah. And honestly, back in those days, we didn't have the boats to put in at Spring Creek and run past up into the back of the Cheyenne. I talked to a guy yesterday that put in at Spring, fish here, went all the way past Minneconjou, up here, and fish all over the system. We didn't have boats that did that.
Right.
What's Billy say? 50 boats a night, average 4 to 6 pounds average every night on Sully Flats. Yeah.
That's absolutely crazy. But yeah, you think about that back in the mid 80s, and the mid 80s, you had a Mr. Pike with a 35 Johnson 50 horse Evinrude. I think they were packaged, and that there were tons of them everywhere. Mr. Pike. Yeah. And then did Lundco, did they start, was it the Tyee or the fish, was it Tyee and then the fisherman where they started what was
Baron?
Sure. Yeah. Right. And that's when they started the 17s, the 18s, and then was it 19 and then
the big old Lund Baron. I think they were 20. You think you get them in 20 feet back then? I was young, so I don't really remember the exact stuff, but I remember the Barons and mean, that was a big boat back then. But I mean, when I fished in that era, it was, 17 foot with a 50 horse tiller on it. It was the boat.
Right.
I'll never forget it. I was a little tyke. My dad was guiding in Mobridge, and we had a guy in the boat, and Bob Prop Sr., Mike McCullen came by us with their Starcraft with a 115 on the back. And the guy looked at my dad and said, they must be doing 200 miles an hour. And I mean, they were doing 35, right? I mean, they blew by us like we were standing still, I mean, but that was what it was, and so we didn't run all over the lake. We didn't have the graphs we have today, back when we took the Gov Cup, started in 2009, the boundary was the mouth of the Cheyenne. You couldn't go further north than the mouth of the Cheyenne in 2009.
Wow.
And we started taking it over. We opened it up to Bushes to Minneconjou, and that's where the Bushes, now we opened all the Cheyenne up, but but it was, because the boats, the main reason for the boundaries back in the day was the boats. There was when the era of the boat started getting, some guys had the Rangers and they could run, but a lot of the guys still had the other boats and they couldn't run.
Shale pile. So that shale pile is now 6 feet under. It just went over it today. So the lake is coming down, right? It's at 1597 and about 7 inches.
Yeah.
So it's down 5 inches from last week.
Yeah.
And Moose Flats is starting to green up. If that says anything to anybody that knows Moose Flats.
I love it. The vegetation.
Right on. Yeah. Yeah. Let it rip, Tater Chip. Yeah.
Yeah. The vegetation that's going up is incredible, because it's only going to be when the lake comes up, because it will.
Right.
We're going to have a massive spawn.
Yep.
I mean, Pitlick's been out here his whole life, and he's probably seen the lake, obviously seen higher this and lower this and several times over again. Right. I mean, it's up and down, up and down, up and down. That's what the system does. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the fishing, like I said, 93, 94, 95, he said was the heyday. We're getting into that era of the heyday, but we have bigger fish. And maybe I truly believe we had those big fish back then, but nobody was out doing what they're doing now.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? Now I'm glad you brought that up, because we had a little discussion last weekend about fishing trees and the whole scoping thing. The cheater box thing came up, and I'm like, no, sorry, it's not a cheater box. Whatever, call it what you want. But I said, here's the deal, though. We used to troll cranks over the trees and catch big fish, and now pardon.
I remember when the spinnerbait fad came out.
Yeah, right. Pulling spinners through the trees. And so now we're hitting spot lock and we're targeting an individual fish. And these guys are like, well, we don't have the Garmin thing. We're not doing that. I'm like, well, why aren't you pulling cranks over the top of trees? We can't do that. No, that lead core, you got to wake up. You got to get your 8-ounce snap weight and get your ass down over the top of the trees and start catching some of those fish. If especially now, because if we're down here now another half a foot, we're 40, 42, 43 feet above the trees sitting in the boat, and getting crankbaits down 40 instead of 60, 55. Getting a crankbait down, hell, I can get a number 5 flicker shad 45 feet down with a 3-ounce snap weight, 5-ounce weight. If I want to do an 8 and get down there quick, there are ways to fish the trees other than with a live scope. You got to be careful, because you're going to lose some cranks in the branches. But if you had your live scope, you'd know right where your cranks are at, though, too. So,
but I mean, I talked to a guy, a couple weeks ago at the gas station. He's like, the trees he likes to pull, he goes, I guarantee it looks like highline wires down there with my lead core hanging from tree to tree to tree. I can see it on my live scope.
Yeah.
9 colors
of lead core.
100%, Oh, we got another Shane Elwine. He grew up here his whole life.
Yeah, right. Late 80s probably were awesome. Just didn't have lake chip, spot lock, live scope, or big enough boats to exploit it. You know what, Shane? That's spot on. I mean, that's yeah. You know, think about the lake chip thing. Well, even now, you know, think about all of the trees that nobody knew were there, right? Because you're like, well, we're fishing trees. On Oahe, we're fishing trees here and there. You know, remember when the trees were a big thing on Francis Case and early spring came and everybody from Mark Porter to Adam Porter to whoever left Brookings and they were headed for Chamberlain because they were going to fish the trees for big walleye, right? Pulling lead core and doing all that. And that was and it was a big deal. But now, you know, now that we've got everything that we've got, and thank you to Dr. Sonar for his chip. You literally, you know, some of those trees are gone, but by golly, if it says there's a tree there, there's a tree there.
Yeah.
So like we can pinpoint.
Talking about his you know, book with all the maps, you know, he knew where every tree was, where every house was, where every culvert was, where every bridge, stone, whatever. They documented it, and he had the book of it. And it's probably why one of the eras he was so dominant he was in, because he had that and nobody else did.
Right.
You know, and I mean, it's just we get away from fishing sometimes. I think I've had the conversation with you is like, just shut up and fish.
Yeah.
You know, shut up and fish.
There's a lot to that.
Doing right. You know, and everybody blames these live scopes for this, that, and the other thing. But, you know, how many times do we see guys in tournaments that go out and crush them on day one? I mean, absolutely hammer them. Day two, they come in with shit because they spent too long trying to get their overs.
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean, we see it in almost every tournament. I guarantee you somebody will tell me that.
Yeah, there's a discipline there with live scope. I see it. I get it. I've fished it. You know, when you're a second or a third person in a boat and you're fishing trees and you're fishing marks and trees and just aren't catching anything for hours on end, you know, there's a discipline there.
Yeah, I mean, that was the other thing. Tom Wynn, you know, they said on the Target walleye deal about Tom Wynn, he'll drop it down to the bottom and let it sit there. If he lifts it up and the arc comes up, he stays on it. If the arc, he goes, he'll watch the fish go to the bottom on his live scope. If the fish, when he lifts that jig up and dances it around, if he doesn't see that bottom race, he's done.
Yeah, right. And move on. Hey, Professor. I love that song. God dang, I love that song. They got 32 pounds day one and getting paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a different world, but I think a lot of guys put too much thought into it. And there's very few guys that are really, really good at it. You just go fish.
Yeah.
Because those guys that are really, really good at it
are fishing.
But they're fishing, but they're also going to have the days they can't get them to go. Right. And I think, you know, in all the years of doing tournament stuff, the best fishermen, I can rattle off, you know, 10, 15 names that win consistently in tournaments. Do you think they care what the 199 other boats are doing? They don't care. They care about them and the fish. It's never about them and the other people. It's about them and the fish. And we have way too many people that are worried about what, you know, Chasen Walter is doing over on this point.
Mm-hmm.
Go worry about you versus the fish, and you're gonna have a lot better experience.
Yeah, I do agree with that. You know, I really do.
It's something very interesting to, you know, sit and look and listen to all the old era. And, you know, I've been fortunate. I grew up around this, right? And my life is immersed with it. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't go, you know, obviously everybody knows my pickup. I can't go anywhere without somebody stopping and talking to me. And if the guy that you know, shot me a random text message last Sunday in Sioux Falls because he saw my pickup in a parking lot, I hope he caught some fish, man. This guy on the other side of the screen is the dude that knows about the eastern side of the lake shore fishing because that's kind of his jam. But I love it. I love talking fishing, and everybody's like, "Oh, give me the spots." I don't get the spots. I don't even ask for them.
Yeah, no. Really, why?
I just want to talk about the fishing. I could care less that you caught them over here. Would I like a little piece of information? Say there's a hot bite on Sully Flats and 15 feet of water. Go pull a gold spinner, and you're going to catch them if you want to go with your family. Take your girls out, and you want to go do it. Yeah, I do every once in a while, but our boat's been on the water 3 times, and once I wasn't even in the thing this year. It's just I've been out fishing 3 times this year, all year. We're just too busy doing tournaments, and when we are not doing tournaments, we like to go enjoy ourselves on the lake. Maybe not even fish. Yeah.
Why would you want to do what you live all summer long?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't even care where you're at. So if you see me somewhere and you want to talk fishing, let's do it. I love it. And I just love absorbing knowledge. Like I said tonight, I didn't give anybody secrets away tonight. I like to pick those tidbits out of, the fish were skinny, or we saw them on live scope, and I made a churn, saw them on live scope. So I slid up shallower and caught fatter fish. That's what I like to talk about. You asked me where, they're biting on the tip of Russo. Cool. You won't see me there. You won't see me there. But yeah, it's just, I enjoy it. I'm immersed in it. I'm thankful for it because it's my passion, just like yours. You love to talk fishing, and you're kind of like me. You get angry because you want to go fishing,
right?
But I think you enjoy the talk of fishing a lot more than fishing.
I do. Well, look at it. We've done 57 minutes now, and we haven't taken a breath, right?
Oh yeah,
not even for a second. So I fished with Tom Daphnis today, and he's like, "I'm going to take a video for your podcast tonight." So all right, Tom. I almost forgot.
Well,
Chasen Walters.
There we go, Chasen Walters, chasing the little ones today.
Here's Brian's tackle box. And here's mine.
So anyway, yeah, Tom took the time to take those, and I didn't want to not play him because he took me out fishing today, and we had some fun.
Fish,
right? Yeah, right.
Did chase the walleyes. Pitlick's over here trying to hustle creek chubs. Anybody need creek chubs? Reach out to Scott Pitlick.
Oh my! Well, there are going to be some guys wanting creek chubs, and if you can keep them alive until the Gov Cup, then more power to you, because those things are temperamental, and that water temp's got to be perfect. Oh, Sherry, there we go.
Glad to see she's watching tonight. She usually doesn't watch.
Right
this.
on. Right.
She's paying attention. I listen to you enough on the weekends and during the week, Curt, and you guys see Brian too much on the weekends. She must be looking at you or something. She hasn't seen Chasen in a while, so she has to watch.
It has been a while, a couple of weeks. I still can't believe the Gov Cup's coming up in a couple of weeks. I just July 1st today. Just crazy.
Well, we're getting at that hour mark, which is amazing for just 2 dummies rambling. So I want to ask you, who's your Mount Rushmore? Who would you spend a day in the boat with? 3 people. Or let's do 4, because Mount Rushmore's got 4 guys. We're gonna
got 4 guys on them. I honestly, I have to have Tom Wynn in the boat, and this is, I got to have Tom Wynn in the boat. I got to have Jaden Wendell in the boat. Do you expect me to pick somebody old?
No, if you could fish one more time with them or fish one time with them, who would it be?
I wouldn't mind having Grandma and Grandpa in the boat again. Grandpa Gar and Grandma Doris. Honestly, I'm not one of those. I don't know. I mean, family means a lot, but we don't have one of those tight, close families where, my dad loved to fish, but he was bad at it. Right. And it just, I don't want to say he was bad at it. He was, he caught fish because he was lucky, whatever. And that's the way it is with everybody. But yeah, honestly, I've learned so much from Tom, and Tom's become a really close friend, and so I can't can't leave him off. I also must say that I'm so damned excited about the new walleye team out there, and that's Jaden Wendell and Bo Schilling. I'd love to be in a boat with those guys. I'd absolutely love to be in a boat with them.
Your grandparents, and then who's going to be your fourth? Is it Bo or is it?
Well, so my grandparents are one, because I'm thinking grandma and grandpa are two, and then Jaden and and here's the deal. I don't want to leave Bo out either, because I told Bo about Jaden, and I told Jaden about Bo last year, and said, you guys need to fish together, and they both looked at me kind of goofy, but I'm like, I am not kidding you. If you two do not fish together, you're nuts. And they're doing it. And I absolutely love it. And I'll pop it up because I'm excited. We're going to have them both on at the exact same time next Wednesday night. And it should be a ton of fun because Jaden's learning from Bo, Bo's learning from Jaden. And those two kids can fish, honestly, that is a hard question when you ask other people, I'm like, it's a good question. But then, when you ask, there's a lot of people that I would like to fish with, definitely grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
And for everything that I've got out of Tom Wynn and the conversations we've had, and frankly, I've just had a ton of conversation with Jaden Wendell, and that is phenomenal.
Throwing his Mount
Rush.
Hey,
look at that.
Them are some old school names.
Yeah, that's old names. I like that, Scott. Thanks for popping that up. And Curt, you said yours. Did you say yours a couple of weeks ago?
No, I don't think I ever have.
Well, okay, so before we go,
it'd obviously be my dad.
Yeah, right.
My dad, Bob Prop Sr. I got to fish with him a few times, and it's a screensaver on my phone, dude. To this day,
right, and that is a kick-ass screensaver.
Right? I mean, the new era, it's God, that's where it gets hard. Tom is just a salt of the earth human being.
Yep.
And I think, it'd be great to go with him or Bo. I know Jaden a little bit, but I don't know him like him. I don't know. I mean, obviously my dad, and I was sitting here thinking that because I knew you were going to ask me. So my dad, obviously.
It's hard.
And, nobody else in my family, my grandpa didn't fish. When my grandpa's fished, my dad was my gateway into the fishing world. In senior, I spent, I was fortunate enough that I got to spend a lot of time with Bob Prop Sr., and I'd probably have to say Tom just because, he's salt of the earth guy. And, oh, man. God, it'd be that. The fourth one is so hard. I mean,
yeah, it's not an easy question to answer.
And I've had, and the thing is, I've been fortunate to fish with some amazing people. I get to go fishing with amazing people. I guess I really love the time I get to spend with my wife on the water. We talked about it the other day, today she's like, are we fishing the junk fish tournament? I said, yeah. She said, no, it's kicked off team. I said, you'll never kicked off my team, So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to throw my wife on there because there's so many other, it's hard to narrow it down, I'd love to spend a day with Bo in the boat. I really would too. Bo would be a fun one. Tyson would be a fun one.
Tyson would be great. No doubt. Chris would be great.
Yeah.
And honestly, Brian Brosdahl and Heather, it'd be great to be in a boat with them. I'd love to. TJ Erickson. Pardon?
I've always fished with Bro and Heather. That was a blast.
Yeah, so. And honestly, Dan Spengler and Kyle Peterson. I mean, so the list is so long that it's very, very hard to pick four of them. I mean,
four. I mean, I upped it to four, but because we're the South Dakota boys, we got to use the Mount Rushmore state. Right?
Yeah, no, I think it makes a ton of sense. See, I could throw your dad on the list too, but there's something.
Never fished
with Hutch. So the thing that there's a special thing with your dad and I The last time I saw him was on his fishing spot. And I didn't recognize him because he was bundled up. It was a crappy cold night, and we're out there casting cranks into 30-mile-an-hour winds, and it's 22 degrees. I mean, it's, you got ice forming on everything. And I rolled my window down. I said, "Don't let Underhill catch you in his spot." And he goes, "I am. This is Dave Walt." So the thing is, for all the years that I spent out there because of your dad fishing that particular spot and those areas, I know darn well that after he left this earth, that he was watching. I could feel him. He was there, and that's why I had the success I had. And, because I talked to people like, I've caught so many big walleye that I just like the little one today, like whatever, we're catching fish and that's great. But it was your dad that hooked me up with giant walleye in eastern South Dakota. And he got me started. It took a little bit to figure out how to get it done. I figured out how to do it, and it's amazing. And I will be going back there. I'm like, why didn't I not go back last fall? That was stupid. So I'll be doing that. Mark Lay, Candy Bar, Chamber of Commerce Evening, Geographical Center, North America versus Happy Birthday Ladies and Germs. Oh yeah. All right. Well, look at that. A minute 6, and we didn't even try.
Everybody have a happy and safe 4th of July. We'll be drawing for Gov Cup teams tomorrow night and probably start around 7 o'clock just because I'm never on time. We'll do about 7. That seems to be the only time I make on time is this show. And we'll get the Gov Cup teams drawn. Bo and Jaden next week. And I'm going to try. We've talked about it for a few years. I'm going to try. We're going to try something special the Wednesday before Gov Cup.
I hope you can pull it off.
I'm going to work on that because that would be a fun night. I think I want to get some of the we'll leave it in the bag until now. So,
yeah, I love it. One comment. Legendary things happen in Lake Area Walleye Club on the eastern half of the state. We'll be out to visit in August. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. The walleye in the eastern part of the state, a well kept secret. I mean, it is.
The weights from the Lake Thompson tournament, I was just baffled by.
Yeah, I was too. I mean, really like wide-eyed baffled. But it's fantastic, right? It's great. Yeah. So anyway, to those in the Highmore area, Ree Heights, Miller, all of those in the path of the storm, thoughts are with you, prayers to you, and may God bless all of you. And thank you for watching. Happy 4th. Keep it safe.
Yeah. See you guys.
All right. See you.